Not letting blindness win. Week 13, day 3. I am back at it today. Back at the gym. Second session of the week because yesterday I had meetings all day, but we addressed that in the last video. But yeah, today it's solo trip to the gym. I'm just about to head out the door. The time is now about 10 to 9 in the morning. So heading out the door, gonna get the tram. Weather today is dry, so it looks as if it's okay. I don't know what kind of day it's going to be, but apparently with it being Easter weekend, it's going to be raining in the next couple of days. So, but I'll take the dry day today. Heading out the door, going to get a good session in today. One of the things I was speaking about earlier this week was that kind of mental shift that I've got going on at the moment. How 4 months ago I was living with isolation due to my vision loss. Not wanting to go out, not really excited about the prospect of going out, only going out if I was with someone else, i.e. my wife or my family, and just kind of staying in midweek, writing, doing all my work as the blind poet, living kind of stuff online, but not really going out, speaking to people, venturing out the door, due to kind of the anxiety of my dip in my vision being at the last stages of sight loss. 4 months down the line, it's completely the opposite. Yesterday I was in, and actually I was like, I really need to get out. I went out yesterday morning before my meetings to go and get some washing up liquid, as I said in the video yesterday. But after that, I was back to back with kind of virtual meetings. But really just, wanted to be outside, wanted to be back at the gym. And today I'm going to make the most of it. So looking forward to getting back out there, facing the challenges, whatever they may be. And as I said over the last God knows how many videos, and if you've been following my good friend Steve Johnson, the VI guy who has been also posting some videos in support of these, it's not about going to the gym, it's not about doing the big things. Sometimes, as I said to him yesterday, sometimes it's the little things that are the big things. And what I mean by that is, and I want to make a really valid point here, one of my biggest bugbears about the blind community living with sight loss and everything else is how a lot of organisations, charities and in the media, when they show blindness, they'll show someone who looks obviously blind, who looks a particular type of way. And for 93% of us affected by sight loss, who have some kind of useful vision, we don't tend to look blind. 75% of disabilities are invisible. And unfortunately, what happens is when you've got, TV programs, film, and they want to, show a character who's got vision loss, they want to make it obvious so they can, let the viewer know that person has got vision loss in a really obvious way. When it's a charity, they use a person who looks a particular way to get donations in or to sell a message in a very short space of time. Now that has a real negative effect because for those people who don't look blind like myself, which is the vast majority of people affected by sight loss, it means that we face questions of, oh, you don't look blind, and people doubting and sometimes accusing of us of faking our blindness, which adds to the isolation. It adds to the lack of independence. It makes people think twice before stepping outside the door. It makes people not want to use a cane in public or not want to apply for a guide dog because they feel like they are not blind enough. And that's not the case, because most people who, are affected by sight loss like this, they will have their mobility and their independence affected. And if they think that they are not blind enough to use a mobility aid just because of the perceptions of the outside world, then that is a wrong thing. And that's one of the things I always try to change. The documentary, The Film I'll Never See, which is going to be shown in cinema tomorrow for a one-off event in Sheffield I'm going to be going to. That was one of the biggest things I was really adamant about from the very start of the making of that we've shown it as an invisible disability. And I was really, really proud that actually happened. And we showed on prime time British TV to millions of people that actually you don't have to look blind to be visually impaired or blind. So quite often, the reason that a lot of the organisations and filmmakers do this is because they want to show it as a visual thing, which it's not. They want to show how people struggle with sight loss and the effects of that. But actually, as I was saying right at the beginning here, and this is my point, they miss the most important things. People think that when you go and talk about sight loss to an audience of people who don't know anything about vision loss, that you have to talk about the big things like, they won't be able to see in busy places and all these different things that they try to show. But actually, the most impactful things you can actually tell an audience like that is the little things, the things that most of them take for granted, that people like me and us have to kind of face every single day. And that is the things like, thinking twice before stepping outside your door. Not being able to hear in busy places because you can't pick up on non-verbal communication. So when you're in crowded places where it's dark and you're not able to see people's faces or see people's body movements, it feels like you can't hear them because, that non-verbal communication that people pick up self-consciously, when you're not able to do that, it breaks down being able to communicate effectively in those kind of spaces. So often people like myself in those spaces, a party atmosphere where everyone's supposed to be enjoying themselves, will feel withdrawn. So there's a lot there that we can show. It's the subtleties, it's the people that it's the things that most people don't think about that are the things that have the biggest impact, and that's what I try to show in these videos. It's not just about going to the gym, it's about facing your demons, it's about taking that first step, realising that, very rarely things are never as scary as you think they're going to be. It's never as scary. So, the hardest part is taking that first step, which is what I'm about to do. So heading out the door now, week 13, day 3. Really busy end to the week with that big event tomorrow, but I'm going to be taking you with me. But I'm going to head to the gym now and I'll update you on the way. Okay, not letting blindness win, week 13, day 3. Just off the tram now, heading to the gym. So today's session, I'm going to focus on chest, shoulders, but for every exercise I do on those, due to the imbalance, I'm also going to do back exercises as well. Chuck in a little bit of legs at the end because that's another part I want to focus on. So it's kind of a full body workout that I'm doing, but focusing the majority of workout on more than one particular part, one particular kind of exercise, but then balancing it out with kind of compound foundational exercises that kind of work the main core, so your legs, your back, hip strength, everything that you need to lift heavy. But yeah, so don't know how many videos I'm going to do when I'm in there, because obviously I'm on my own, depends how busy it is as well. And I imagine today and Friday, especially when I'm working out next after today, it's going to be pretty busy with being a Easter weekend. A lot of people off work and hitting the gym. So I'll update once I'm in there. But yeah, week 13, day 3 is about to commence properly. Okay, not letting blindness win. Week 13, day 3. Just heading back from the gym now. For those people who think I've somehow got my camera the wrong way round by mistake, you'd be wrong, because I wanted to give on this journey back my perspective of using my cane and steps across, and how it is for people who use mobility aids. So I didn't manage to record one video in the gym today because I was too busy getting in a really hard workout, and obviously I was on my own, so
it was difficult to film with the exercises I was doing. So I just kind of got on with it today. But today isn't about the gym as such, as we were talking about yesterday. Today is about how we face our challenges, whatever size they may be. And actually, those things that people outside of disability and outside of those who live with low vision and blindness may not understand, it's actually the small things, not the big things like, as Steve Johnson said in his video yesterday, you know, skiing or jumping out of an aeroplane or driving a car on a track made for visually impaired people. It's heading to the shops. I speak at events all over the world, and I speak on stage in front of hundreds of people at a time. And often I get people saying to me, oh, I couldn't do that, I'd be really nervous. I don't get nervous about doing those things. That's my comfort zone. At least where I get nervous or where I used to get more nervous than I do now is heading outside my door, going to the shops, going to busy places, going to places that I'm not familiar with. Being in those kinds of situations, most people as I walk by, you're not really seeing many today, but most people as I walk by with my cane either have their head in their phones and they notice it at the last minute and then panic because they don't know what to do to walk past me, or sometimes they'll see my cane but it won't register and they'll stare blankly at it until they pretty much walk into me. I've had people jump over my cane, which is really feels very rude, and my wife absolutely hates it, as does my son Austin. I'm sure there's a few people out there that can relate to that. Look, the police car coming. This is a bit of a dodgy area though, by the way. For those people who don't know Manchester, this is there's a lot of crime around here. Anyway, so actually a lot of the times, because people are so wrapped up in their own world and sometimes a lot of the times walk around with their heads in their phones, I feel like actually as I'm walking about with that little bit of vision that I've got, I notice more than most, so I pay attention more because I'm constantly have to pay attention and concentrate on where I'm walking. Is it safe? There's a lot more focus on it for someone who only has a little bit of vision, or those who have none. They have to use their other senses to get around, whereas those people who aren't affected by any kind of disability take for granted all their other senses, and often they see less than those people like me. I'm sure that makes sense. But yeah, these are the things that add to the anxiety, these are the things that add to the excuses not to go out for people like me. But as I said in one of my previous videos, the difference between how I feel now and how I felt 4 months ago when I started this journey 13 weeks ago is I don't let it stop me now. I still get anxious, I still have all the same kind of doubts, but the difference is I take that step and I don't let it stop me. I don't bow to the excuses, because I know that once I do get past that, oh my god, that's a really cool little look at this little tiny car mobility scooter with United all over it. That's amazing. But yeah, so I don't let it stop me. All those doubts and everything are still there. They don't disappear. The voice just gets quieter, and the reason to ignore the voice and get out there is worth a lot more than to give into it. So anyway, that's my kind of thoughts for the day. Heading home now. Going to get back to the house, and this afternoon I've got a little bit of work to do, but I'm going to be focusing in on the most important part, or one of the most important parts of this whole training thing, which is my dieting, because you cannot out-train a bad diet. So, you know, as well as going to the gym, you know, 4 or 5 times a week, I'm also eating very clean. And actually I noticed yesterday that because I had to stay in most of the day and was doing all these work calls, these Teams meetings, that my thoughts on snacking and breaking my bad diet, or breaking my good diet I should say, and snacking were a lot harder to get past. I always like, when you're sat in and you're doing nothing, or you're home all the time, you constantly want to snack, and I really had to fight that yesterday. So anyway, Not Letting Blindness win, week 13, day 3 is done. Okay, I'm going to do one more video on the way home, just to kind of show my perspective of some of the obstacles that people like me face for the pain. So just down the stairs slowly now. Wait for it to flatten. And at the bottom I know there's tactile pavement, so you know I'm at the bottom. Okay. Let's see if I can give you as much of a perspective as possible as we walk. So I know that obviously here's got tactile pavement, but I also know the road's closed, so I'll cross here safely. To be careful of the car parking, because there's cars turning in, but nothing at the moment. So straight ahead. Using my hearing now to know that there was a car somewhere in front of me. One of the things that people with low vision might relate to, that always used to get me, I've not done one for a little while, but these concrete blocks that are there for seating in areas like this, that are always kind of the same colour as the pavement. The amount of times I've gone flying over one of those is, yeah, scary. So this is probably where I have to pay attention the most throughout my day, you know. The gym, obviously, you know, I do pay attention there, that's why I use the cane in the gym now. But there's more hazards like that. But people not paying attention, not seeing the cane, being so wrapped up in what they've got going on and walking into me. Or start with me because I don't see them until the last man over me. Skip over my cane. Like what just happened there. Okay, this one crossing now, which is about to go on the screen. I hear the sound, so I can walk quick across. The tactile pavement, which means I'm on the other side. And more tactile pavement just ahead of me here, which means I turn right. This is another obstacle we've got to come against, bins that are out, like that permanently. And also you get a lot of cars that park on the double yellow lines there, so hopefully there's no room on the pavement and you have to walk on the road. Prime example being on the other side of the road here where there's bins out, and a taxi parked on double yellow lines, not leaving much room for anyone with a stroller, buggy, or a wheelchair to get past. But this happens all the time. I'm going to cross now just in front of that taxi. There we go. I'm nearly home now, so it should get a little bit quieter. But as you can see here, there's bins along pavements, and here they're all tucked in, which is pretty good, but a lot of times there may be 3 or 4 deep covering the entire pavement, which forces me out into the road. But not so bad here today. One thing for those people outside of the UK that you'd be quite shocked about, but those people into the UK, is actually the state of the roads here. There's potholes everywhere out of the roads, which makes it difficult for cars, but also it's the same with the pavements as well. They really don't get looked after. And this isn't just a thing around here, it's everywhere. So I've got a van driver here that's stopped in the middle of the road. He doesn't know what he's doing. Across. Moving to the curb. Like this. Another car reversing out. There's another. And for those people that live in the UK as well, one of the things you notice is a lot of the cars that park on pavements or are pretty irresponsible tend to be a particular make of cars, and we've got one coming in right here. Audis. Bane of my life. Just get past, so that's fine. Nothing coming here, so I can walk straight across. So this is quite a clear one, there's not really many obstacles here, but it gives you a little glimpse of how it is for people like me with low vision loss, disability, navigating the streets on their own. And actually the thought that you have to put into kind of getting around safely, the concentration. It's not just a simple thing of heading outside your door, it's concentrating on all the things that you need to in order to keep you safe, to do the things that most people just take for granted. So anyway, not letting blindness win, just wanted to give you a little glimpse of that. Week 13, day 3 is done, and I'll be back tomorrow with a very special day where we're going to be heading with my wife and my son Austin to Sheffield for a very special event with the Sheffield Royal Society for the Blind. That's soon.